Welcome to The Explainer. It's funny, sometimes the most relevant guide for our super modern lives comes from centuries ago. Today, we're opening up a really profound spiritual text, one from the 11th century that just speaks directly to the soul.
Okay, let's just start with the title. This is Futuh Al-Ghaib, and that translates to The Revelations of the Unseen. What an incredible name, right? It immediately tells you we're about to explore a reality that exists just beyond our everyday perception. And these aren't just essays, nope, they're a collection of deep, powerful spiritual discourses. So that brings up a really big question, doesn't it? To really get what these revelations are all about, we first have to understand the incredible person they were revealed to.
Right, so to get the book, we gotta meet the author. He's a figure whose name has just echoed through the centuries as a true spiritual giant.
His name is Hazrat Sheikh Muhyiddin Abdul Qadir Gilani. And just to give you an idea of his stature, the translator of this very book points out that he does not stand in need of an introduction to the Muslim world. I mean, he's that significant. He's simply known as the Saint of Baghdad.
His life story pretty much reads like a blueprint for a spiritual journey. He was born back in 1077 in Persia, and people said he had mystic experiences even when he was just a kid. But the real turning point? It came when he was 18. He left everything behind to go to Baghdad, which was basically the intellectual center of the world at the time, all because he was hungry for knowledge and spiritual truth.
And there's this famous story from that journey that tells you everything you need to know about his character, right from the get-go. His mom had sewn his entire inheritance, 80 gold coins, into the lining of his coat. She made him promise one thing, to always tell the truth. Well, sure enough, his caravan gets stopped by robbers. They ask him if he has any money, and he tells them, "Yep, I've got 80 gold coins sewn into my coat." The leader of the robbers was so stunned by this level of honesty that he repented on the spot. That kind of integrity, that became his legend.
So let's see how all of that feeds into the book itself. I mean, why does a collection of sermons from almost 1,000 years ago still grab people's attention? What makes it so timeless?
The book's introduction gives us a huge clue. It says the text is for anyone who feels that the world is too much taken up with the question of material existence. It's basically an antidote for a life that's lost sight of the bigger picture, which, let's be honest, feels incredibly relevant right now.
Now, the discipline at the heart of this book is known as tasawwuf, or what many know as Sufism. And the text is really clear this isn't some vague, floaty mysticism. It's described as a regular science with its set laws and a full scheme and details. It's all based on direct, palpable experiences that can be reproduced. So think of it as a practical science for the soul.
And what is that science focused on? One main thing, our inner world. This book is basically a manual for the journey of the self, taking us from a state of inner chaos to one of profound, deep peace.
And what's so fascinating is that this journey isn't seen as random or haphazard at all. The book gives us a clear map, and it outlines 3 distinct stages of consciousness that a person evolves through. In Arabic, this is called the nafs, or the self.
So here's how that spiritual evolution actually plays out. The journey kicks off with the nafs amara, the unruly self. This is our base instinct, totally driven by impulse. Then, with some real spiritual work, it evolves into the nafs lawama, the struggling self. This is where our conscience kicks in and we start that constant battle between our lower and higher impulses. The ultimate goal, the final stage, is the nafs mutma'ina, the composed self. This is the state where one achieves perfect peace, purity, and knowledge.
Getting to that highest state involves a critical transformation called fana. The book defines this as a complete subjugation of the animal self. Basically, it's the point where a person is no longer thrown around by worldly desires. The only urge left is this prayerful surrender of your entire being to the divine.
Okay, so with that whole framework in mind, let's finally dive into the discourses themselves and get a little taste of this powerful wisdom.
So what we have here is a collection of 80 distinct discourses, or sermons. These are talks the Sheikh actually delivered to packed audiences in Baghdad. Each one is its own little self-contained spiritual lesson. The very first discourse lays out the foundation for the entire spiritual path with this beautiful simplicity. It says there are 3 things that are absolutely essential for a believer. 1. Follow God's commandments. 2. Stay away from what is forbidden. And 3. Be content. Be pleased with whatever life brings your way. This quote from the fourth discourse, it just perfectly captures that idea of fena we were talking about. It speaks of a kind of metaphorical death that happens while you're still alive, a death to all your worldly attachments, a death to the cravings of your ego, and it's only through this death, the book suggests, that you can actually be reborn into a higher life.
And the potential of that new life? It's absolutely staggering. The book says the goal of this whole journey is to reach the highest possible spiritual station, to become a successor to the prophets and the finishing point of all saintliness. I mean, what an incredible vision of what a human being can become.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought. This ancient book suggests that the greatest revelations of the unseen aren't somewhere out there, but they're waiting for us inside. In a world that is constantly pulling for our attention, maybe the most radical thing you can do is turn inward. What do you think you might find there?